Shakespeare once said, "To be or not to be? That is the real question." In other words, who you are and who you want to be depend upon yourself. It's on you. But perhaps he forgot to mention that who we are and who we will be comes back to the decisions we made. Because our choices, our habits, build up the total sum of our life. So, no pressure. To know this is to understand. Are you making the right decisions? What even determines a right decision? Our lives, they're full of choices. Today, for example, you will have to decide whether to go out with your friends or do your homework, to eat a healthy meal or to pass through tip-top, to get the recommended 8 hours of sleep or to binge watch your favorite TV show until 2 a.m. And these choices, as unimportant as they might seem, determine who you are. And life, at least when it comes to decision making, might have become easier in our generation, which ironically is also because life has become very complex. Advancements in technology have created so many options, which have created so many unnecessary choices, which is why it's easier for us to stick to default choices. And have you ever noticed in yourself or in people around you the tendency to stick to default choices? As we have seen before, these choices need to yield less personal benefit. Adam Grant brings to our attention that Internet Explorer and Safari users tend to be less efficient and productive because their search engine was already installed. This means that they didn't have to ask the extra questions or take the extra step that, say, a Chrome user would. This and many other daily interactions show that we don't always end up owning our own decisions. Sometimes they might have come pre-installed. So, do we take the risk of committing to a new search engine? Or of trying something new, even if it doesn't work out? New options, for better or worse, are unpredictable, and they involve vulnerability. So we avoid them and free up the headspace for far more important decisions. But there is a problem with this mindset. Those that don't take the risk will lose the reward. We're missing informative experiences because we're clinging to what's familiar. Avoidance means also avoiding events that would otherwise shape us into the amazing people we could be. So, the question remains, are you making the right decisions? Do your habits today reflect something your future self will be grateful for? Let's look at what goes into making a decision. Our brains are able to analyze sensory evidence through vision and sound so that the sensory circuits in our brain make a choice depending on the stimuli. Seems pretty simple. So why is that, even with the best intentions, we often look back and notice that the decisions we made were not the right ones? This is not a glitch in our neurology, but rather an epic battle between efficiency, as in doing something quickly, and precision, as in doing something right. And the decision you make often depends on the high standards set by your complicated teenage life. It also depends on your mindset. And Carol Dweck, when studying the phenomenon of mindsets, concluded that when it came to learning, there were those with a growth mindset and later those with a fixed mindset. And those that believed that their success was based on inherited intelligence and abilities had a fixed mindset. This group was more afraid to fail because vulnerability threatened to contradict their supposed talents. On the other hand, those with a growth mindset believe that their success is based on hard work and dedication. And they think they can and therefore should improve. Consider what is your mindset, and also consider what changing your mindset could do in your life. Let's talk about the last test you took. Did you study for it? Did you think your abilities had you covered? Or did you not care about the outcome at all? And this leads to another thing that inhibits whether we live up to our potential. It stops us from making the most of our life. Fear. Fear can best be described as a chain reaction that occurs when the brain is altered by a stimulus, creating a fight-flight response. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs even proves that we need to find a place where we feel safe before we can reach self-actualization, before we can reach our potential. And whereas our comfort zone might create the illusion of safety, it can actually prevent us from going through experiences that would provide learning and personal growth. And have you ever postponed something because it was out of your comfort zone? Or because you were afraid? Or because you thought you would have time to do that later? This is the nature of regret. Missing out on an opportunity that could have made your life better, that could have made you better. Telling someone you care, telling someone you're sorry, admitting failure. And do you think it's a little bit weird to be listening to a 14-year-old talk to you about regret? But the thing is, if we're old enough to make choices, we're old enough to feel regret. So, what do we do to avoid this? First, we need to stop dreaming and start planning, start acting. And yet, sometimes the fear of failure might sabotage our success. Whether we win, whether we lose, whether we avoid the game altogether, it's critical that we set and manage our own expectations. Because the more we flex these muscles, the more comfortable we will become. I used to care that people thought I was smart. But this mentality made me afraid of disappointing people around me. I had to control this fear that seemed so dominant in my life so that it wouldn't prevent me from taking on further challenges. Because what it really did, instead of pushing me forward, was cripple further momentum. So here's the truth. I get afraid. I get afraid often. And unless somebody pushes me, I end up choosing the safer path. I am not a child genius. I am not an athletic prodigy. I haven't been through an epic or tragic experience. And even as I consider an exit strategy to this talk, because surely one of you would be more equipped to talk to this audience, I would be such a hypocrite to stand here and tell you guys to make the most of your life if I was afraid to take a little risk. So here I am, as living proof that you can do whatever you set yourself out to do. Don't avoid critical opportunities due to fear. You have to get up on life stage and try. Get out of your comfort zone, challenge your boundaries, make your life interesting. And I know it's by no means easy, but I urge you to get over the imaginary hurdles and the supposed boundaries you build around yourself. Believe that your opinion is what matters the most to you, not everyone else's approval. And this leads me to my next recommendation. To some extent, we are, and will always be afraid of the world around us, full of jagged corners and competition. But we have to allow ourselves not only of dreaming of becoming great, but actually become great. And it is in times like these that we have to remember, yes, we will not always be strong enough, but we can always be brave. Because life is for the brave, for those that take a leap of faith and trust their abilities. And the only way people will start believing in us, the only way the world will stop being so jagged and scary, is that when we realize that our confidence lies within our hard work. If you believe in nothing, believe in yourself and make decisions in your life that bet on you. And yet, there are some people that will take this advice to an extreme. Those that will tangle themselves into trying to live such a fascinating life that they will actually destroy their chances of enjoying it. Hear me out. I am by no means saying that you clutter your calendar over what you can manage or enjoy. After all, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop around once in a while, you could miss it. The acclaimed researcher and psychologist Len Vygotsky even proves that we have to find the sweet spot between boredom and exhausted anxiety, because the outcome is the same: wasted potential and unproductivity. Living your life to the fullest means trying and trying again and knowing you get something out of every experience, whether you succeed or fail. We grow through failure. It's an integral part of our learning process that we should learn to embrace. And I get it. We stress out. Failure is not a pretty part of life, but it's a vital one. And those that haven't failed haven't lived. And the only thing it really shows is that we can and should improve. If we can be humble enough to admit that we're not the best, that we're not perfect, then we can overcome this fear of defeat. When we think big picture, we need to imagine what it would be like to get to the end, to be at complete peace, knowing you've made the most out of every single moment of your life. We should make decisions in our life that allow us to go to sleep at night, satisfied because we made the most of the hand we were dealt that day, and wake up in the morning content, because we have another set of completely and unique possibilities to try, perhaps fail, but then try again. We need to set character-shaping habits. Our choices build up to create our lives. And if you make the same decisions as the people around you, you will become the repetition of the story. So do not fill your life with regret. Fill it with memories that provide contrasting perspectives. Fill it with empowering choices. We often think we have more time, but our lives are unmeasurable and extinguishable, and depending upon what you believe, we may only get one shot. So do not waste your precious time. Grow up. Stop procrastinating. Stop letting fear sabotage your success. Set your own expectations. Dream big. Don't settle. Think of the big picture. Be brave enough to take unique risks, and don't overbook. Let's all look back at the amazing things we did, not at the things we wish we'd done. And you know what? You heard the TED Talks. You watched the TED Talks. But at the end of the day, it's up to you if you want to make a difference in the world. We have to remember that it's never too late to make different choices, and never too late to build up different habits, and never too late to live a more interesting life. And above all, never too late to become the better version of ourselves. Thank you.